Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk specifically about Tashas' Cauldron of Everything and do some meta-analysis on the book itself and what it tells us about Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition source books. So one, I just want to kind of acknowledge that I've never seen a book get more coverage than Tashas' Cauldron of Everything. It's really, it's just getting a huge amount of coverage, right? So one of the things, the streaming's been picking up. We're in 2020 pandemic. Everybody's got plenty of time to watch YouTube, right? Because they're not doing anything fun or, useful. So basically, there's just an absolute ton of coverage for Tashas' Cauldron of Everything. So, and because of that, I think not only because there is a lot of that coming from 2020 pandemic, just the overall coverage amount. But generally, people are engaging with this at a level they've really never engaged with one of the other D&D books. So one of the things that I take away from that is people really like the non-adventure Dungeons & Dragons source books. So that means Volo's Guide to Monsters, Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, Xanathar's Guide to Everything, and now Tashas' Cauldron of Everything, okay? You're looking at 4 distinct books that are really extensions. They're really very similar to core books, right? I guess Volo's Guide is kind of an extension directly of the DMG. I would say Tashas' Cauldron of Everything is really an extension of the Player's Handbook. Xanathar's Guide to Everything is probably closer. Is also an extension. There was a lot of that might be an even mix between the DMG and the PHB, and then very much so Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes is clearly a DMG extension, right? But these are better, essentially what I'm seeing is that when you do a non-adventure book, people get excited, and also, so Tashas' Cauldron, it just teaches us so much, right? People really like these non-adventure source books. I really think I would be very happy if Dungeons & Dragons abandoned the adventure source book. Or, you know what would be really nice? I know a lot of people like them. What if we got one a year? And then, what if we got 3 books a year? I think that's their current schedule anyway. Okay, they're doing 3 books a year. Okay, some years maybe they do 2, but they're generally doing 3 books a year. So what I would really love is 1 adventure a year, 1 PHB extension, 1 DMG or Monster Manual extension, right? That would be great. I think that would be a really good mix. So I would really love to see the adventures go back. So you see that about that's one thing Tashas is teaching us. Another thing that I definitely agree with. I've been listening to a lot of Tashas' Cauldron's breakdowns. And one of the best things I've heard so far is a really good critique of, a really good point about Tashas' Cauldron of Everything. There's no way around this, right? So these books, every single one of these books, and one of the reasons why Wizards of the Coast likes to do the adventure books is the adventure books don't add anything real to the game, right? They're such filler food. They're just not good in any way, right? But one of the reasons why they like to do them is it keeps power creep. When you do a real book with real options for real players and real dungeon masters, power creep is going to come in, right? Or there's no power creep and everything in that book is worse than what the players already have in the PHB or the DMG, and nobody is excited about that. That is not, good. Now the reality is Tashas' Cauldron does have power creep, which frankly, that's what it should be. There should be some power creep in a book because it's got to have something with juice, something with power, something with impact, right? But the problem is you can't let that go on too long, and you can't do too many of them. So the reality is, the Wizards of the Coast has one of the ways they fought power creep is they've only done 4 books that can actually have power creep in it. Okay, and that's and that is Volo's and Xanathar's, Tashas, and Mordenkainen's, right? Now, it is getting pretty crazy that Elminster doesn't have his own book. That seems really strange. But there's some power creep in Tashas' Cauldron. No two ways about that. And then this is truly sad. One of the things that Tasha's Cauldron does is it makes combat slower. And the reason why is there's so many pets. And in addition to that, it allows people to increase the complexity on their characters, which means there's more, oh, where's that feat? What's that thing? Who's that, who's that got that power? Combos and a whole bunch of other nonsense. No two ways about it. When we come out the other side of Tasha's, if your DM signs off on Tasha, and actually, what DM isn't going to sign off on Tasha's? Of course, DMs are going to sign. By the way, if you're playing with some DM who, says you can't use Tasha options, you might want to find a new DM. Just saying. All right, so basically, Tasha's is going to slow combat down. The pets will slow it. The increased complexity on the character sheets is going to slow it. So guess what? It's kind of ironic. Here we come in full circle, right? If you have a whole lot of complexity in 5th edition combat, which, frankly, the Wizards of the Coast really wanted to avoid that, right? But here we are. Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition has arrived at being Pathfinder, right? Same level of complexity, same crunchy, slow, nonsense combat, right? It just comes from age, right? Now, I don't like slow combat, and I really wish it wasn't that way. But D&D, I'll always love you. It's okay, right? It's like, lean Elvis, fat Elvis. Everybody loves both. Okay, it's cool, right? Everybody loves fat Elvis. That's where we're at now. Tasha's Cauldron makes D&D fat Elvis, right? And that's totally okay. Everybody loves fat Elvis, right? It's not really a problem. All that's my opinion. What do you think? Do you agree that, without a doubt, Tasha's Cauldron absolutely introduces power creep and very much will slow combat? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.